Hello everyone and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today I wanted to do another update on my nodes and workers. So over the past about 3 months or so, what I've been doing is mostly getting everything to artisan and trying to like readjust my nodes. So I wanted to talk about that. We'll talk about some like profitable nodes, things that are worth your time investing, whether you're a beginner or an endgame player looking to just organize your worker empire and everything. So yeah, I have about 156 workers, and I would say about 99% of them are artisan, and a few on professional that are just doing farming and whatever, but not really a big deal. But yeah, most of this is all artisan, and overall, the goal of this was basically to have more passive profit. Like obviously artisans are the best tier, and it mostly depends on like the skills they have, like when you unlock them. So that's just going to happen over time. But step one was to get them all to artisan first, and then you min-max roll them later based on their abilities. So anyway, with that said, I think that was a good start, and they made an adjustment a couple of months ago where, well, actually, I don't know if it's a couple of months ago, but it's very recent, where basically what you do is contract workers, and then you could use all your characters' energies from one screen without having to log into another one, which I think was very handy. And then you could just like hire from any town you wanted to. So yeah, that was one thing that helped me save a lot of time. But with that said, let's go into the nodes and let's talk about it. So let's go in order of, you know, I guess if you're a beginner, where you should start and all the way through every region. So okay, so Balanos, which is Olvia and Velia. The important nodes in this one, I guess let's make this a little bit easier. Yeah, let's look at it like this one. That way you can actually see the nodes and everything. Okay, so by region, I think the important ones in Velia are mostly just going to be like various timbers and saps, because those are like high value, as well as things that give like chicken meat and eggs, because you either use them and or your goal is to get more contribution points, which allows you to get more workers, or not workers, but like invest in more nodes and higher imperial delivery. So that's a very important number. So in Velia, I'm just gonna speed run through like notable ones. Things that give timbers and saps, very high value. Chicken meat, eggs, pretty high value. And believe it or not, like iron ore is always good, certain powder of flames. But like, before I go into any more detail, I want to say you could copy my nodes, but a lot of things I have, I set up because I use it for cooking, alchemy, and all that stuff. So I'm at the end game, and I craft a lot of my stuff myself because it's generally cheaper. But if you're looking for profit, I'm happy to just point you guys in the right direction either way. So yeah, a lot of these that give ores, if you don't know what to do with ores and you don't need them, or you're limited on contribution points, these are something you get later on, but high priority on timbers, saps, and chicken meat in this area. So yeah, with that said, down here there are some nodes that give various things like where is it, excavation nodes. And if you don't see this on your map, what you do is you go to the node, there's an NPC, and then you pay like energy, and then it unlocks these permanently. So you can probably just Google like the full BDO map, and then it tells you which ones have it. I've done that so many years ago that I don't remember them all, but I'll try to talk about that. All right, going into Serendia, which is Heidel Glish. Basically, here is full of like trees, and then a lot of ores and stuff. Trees, ores, timbers, and everything. So high priority on the unique ones, which are cooking honey. Cooking honey is not as rare as it used to be years ago. However, it is very limited in terms of places you can get it. So I think it's worth the investment into getting cooking honey, just because if you do a lot of cooking, it's pretty helpful. It's not the most valuable thing, and you could just buy it off the market, but it's one of those things you probably just want to have in general. Yeah, and then anything where you can get Trace of Nature, very good for alchemy, always nice. And if you're a beginner, one thing I'd recommend is like wheat nodes, and then I think it's like, you know, just wheat. It's like the chicken meat equivalent, but it makes beer instead of grilled bird meat and all that stuff. So essentially it does the same thing. I just think grilled bird meat is worth a little bit more. They function the same way, but one has more. So you have 1.4 million. It's not because I actually need that many. It's more just because I try to boost contributions. That's just really the fastest way to do it. Profitable, not so much, but contribution-wise, very good. Glish ruins, we have another trace of nature. Platinum ore is very expensive as well. And then down here, we just have more timbers. So I do like a lot of processing. Well, I guess Guru 44, whether you think that's good or not, higher than my other ones. But this is where I do a lot of my processing. That's why I have a lot of timbers here. And then the ores, I've started sending them here more as well. So this is basically my hub for cooking, alchemy, processing, and that's a lot of stuff. And then the overfill goes down into Glish as well. So there's a lot of stuff that happens in these two towns. If you have extra contribution points, these are very expensive to invest in. But the lumber camp over here has 2 of them, which give birch and pine. These are valuable nodes. However, it's I think 2 contribution points to invest in a node, and then like 5 each. So these are expensive, but they are worth it if you have extra. But unfortunately, I do not. So anyway, next, going into the Calpheon area. So I've started investing into houses for a lot of timber crates, and then eventually we'll just do one big turn in. But timber crates in Calpheon, and then important things that I have connected down here with Keplan. So Keplan is one of the nodes that I use for coal, and those are actually the important ones. So this one, coal over here, and then copper ore. I actually do use translucent crystals. These are for royal workshops if you're at that point in the game. Otherwise, double coal is what you want here. And then I guess anything in the process like timbers are always nice. Calpheon, every time they come out with a new region every couple of years, I feel like Calpheon is the one that I get rid of nodes more from. But aside from that, timbers and saps are really the only things you want. I have a bunch of birch that I have actually recently processed through a bunch of it, so it's not as much, but I remember having like close to 1 million and then just over time processed them. So yeah, a lot of timbers here. Barley and wheat, once again, the chicken meat equivalent. It makes beer and everything. So yeah, I think these are what you are looking for. So I used to have more in Port Epheria back in the day because I would used to have to make my own pet feed, or like the pet food. But nowadays you can just buy it off the market. It's not really a big deal. But I use Epheria for basically boat upgrade material. So like for anyone that's looking to make a carrack, I've always given the tips of use Ilia Island and Port Epheria for 2 different things. Ilia Island for your barter materials, and Port Epheria for boat upgrades. Even if you don't have all the like upgrade storage spots, it's still a good idea to organize them separately. So yeah, this is what I used to have. It's basically to make stuff for pet food, and all of these are 1 CP nodes. So I think if you want to do it yourself, you can, but it's one of those things where the distance time is just so long to the point where it's hard to say it's worth it. Okay, going down into Trent. This one is actually very solid. I think low-key that Trent has a lot of good nodes. However, it's not like a beginner-friendly area because you're connecting a lot separately, and you know, it's something that you're more specific to get because you need it. So down here we have bloody tree knots. These are very expensive, and fir timber, also very expensive. Cedar and spirit leaves, always good, and various ores and stuff. So if you look into storage, I have a lot of timbers over here. These are like, I would consider a lot of these pretty high value timbers. If you process them, you could sell them for a lot. If you get saps and cedar sap, Cedar sap is one of those really annoying things to get, and it's kind of always sold out on the market. So it's one of those things you probably should start to invest in early on, even if you don't need it, because they're like 20k each. They're not only are they expensive, but they're just kind of annoying to get. So you just want to have that already to go. So that's what I would invest in. Same with tin ore. So yeah, a lot of these are high value nodes, but it's just like very specific to if you need it or not. And connecting to Bear, we have everything up to Marie Cave, which gives more pine, timber, and sap. I don't think you really need to connect anything past Bear if you don't need pine, but like specifically to me, I do. Okay, so down in Grana, this one is, I would say Grana sadly doesn't really have that many good nodes anymore. The only one I have connected is Toothberry Forest. One, because it has excavation, and two, because I just don't really want to get rid of it, because every time they have a new character or something, I grind here a lot for seasonals, and then having the maxed out node, or like at level 15 at least, down in this area is Polly's, I believe. Yeah, or Renaros, and then Polly's is down there. I remember grinding for the infinite potion. It was not great, so like the higher drop rate chance was always nice, but I like the excavation nodes. That's about it. Otherwise, if you don't need it, there's really nothing else in Grana worth having, aside from maybe the Ash Forest node if you grind there a lot, which Ash Forest is actually really good now in current patch, so I think it might be worth investing into. I have a maxed out level 20 node here, and yeah, it's pretty good. Nice. All right. So next thing we have down here is Old Wisdom Tree. I think you can probably connect all of this to Odraxia, but in terms of like distance, I think it might be different. So like you probably don't need this one, the Shady Tree Forest, if you're connected full through Odraxia, but I don't remember which workers. Actually, let me look at this real quick. Maybe we might actually be able to. Oh, we have one for Thornwood. Okay, so if I got rid of that and added Odraxia, yeah, so I could probably swap up some nodes and have everything connected through Odraxia, but nothing through Old Wisdom. But that would also, you know, require me to invest in something different when this already works. So Thornwood is the only one, and it has Thornwood Timber and Thornwood Sap. Let me see. Do I have it connected to here? Yeah, Thornwood Timber and Thornwood Sap. These are pretty good, very specific to me, but if you don't need it, I would just disconnect this and go everything else through Odraxia. What are other nodes that are important? Narcion has chicken meat and eggs. You know how we talked about that in Velia? Same thing here. More timbers and saps, always nice. And then one thing that I personally liked is nickel and mithril. These are very expensive nodes, and like mithril is very expensive, and then mithril and nickel are both high value. However, if you're going for mithril, the one you should be going for is the one in Hulk Canyon over here. Just because I think this gun gives a lot higher of a yield, so like every return gives more. So I've had both of these nodes on for a while, and I only have like 600 mithril here, but then through Duvencrune connected, I have like 14,000 of them. So you see, that's a little bit different. So yeah, either way, you have to kind of know what you're doing with it. Otherwise, it's not really worth it. So here's that. Important ones in Odraxia, probably the Narcion node. Maybe Trace of Nature here in Crypt of Resting Thoughts. Definitely pick up Cult Canyon, but I think you can connect that through Duvencrune. And then everything here is just like more specific things that I need. Olins, I have this invested because I actually do grind Olins, so I might as well have these connected, but I'm convinced this node is like, it's just not good. The one that Olins, but like, if it is a high value one, whether you think so or not, like all of these give a decent amount, so that's up to you. I just think it's not really that good, but it's better than the other choices. All right, Duvencrune. Besides Call Canyon, if you need mithril, you just get a lot here. I think I have another mithril ore or excavation through here, and down into lumber camp over here for a Thuja sap. I don't remember what I was using for that one. Let me see. Is that connected? Oh yeah, Thuja sap is just very expensive because no one wants to gather around here. So it's like, I don't remember what I was using it for, but it was probably a year ago and I just left it on. But hey, that's free money if I wanted to sell it one day. And then aside from that, that's about it. It's not too much worth looking at in Duvencrune. Now let's go to Mountain of Eternal Winter. The important ones you might want to have are Jade Starlight Forest. One, because it's a very valuable grind spot for your Labresca helmet. And as well as it gives Rough Jade and Snowfield Cedar Timber and Saps. One over here for Birch Timber, always nice. And more Cooking Honey and Trace of Nature if you need that one. So I think if I got more contribution points, I would invest into this one. It's 3 points, kind of expensive, but it's definitely worth it. And the one for oranges over here, I don't know. I just kind of had that one for some reason. Yeah, the value of this is still pretty good. The Cedar Sap is very expensive here, so I thought that was good. Rough Jade is expensive, and same with Snowfield Cedar. So high value nodes across the board here. But it's one of those things where even if you sell it, it's not too bad, but it's kind of like you should probably use this. There's a reason why they're expensive. Okay, so going down into Ulukita. Recently, I guess in the past 3 or 4 months, I believe, they started adding nodes that have, materials instead of investing into it for the grind spots only. So down in Astrakhan, we have double excavations, which again, once very important, and iron and copper, also very important. So that's why I have connected over here. And these are just very high value nodes for all of these things in general. And Muzgar, we have connected. Actually, I think these are connected to Velendir. And then I'm sending them to somewhere else. But Timbers, Sap, Ezerheed Highlands has double cedar or cedar and white cedar. They're different things. And one more that I would probably connect later on is probably this thing over here, because Monk's Branch are very expensive, and then just more saps for alchemy and stuff. So yeah, Ulukita, it's not terrible. It's just one of those things where I would only invest in it if you're going to use it, not really particularly to sell. Okay, so we are currently down here in Tarif, and I actually did a lot of tweaking to this one recently. So Tarif is also connected to Altinova, and so I guess if you take this line right here from the Medaya shore down everything past Tarif, everything to the left of it is Tarif connected, and everything to the right, so all of this, is probably Altinova connected. Give you an idea. So, important nodes worth getting. Medaya Northern Highland, double cedar, cedar and maple. Very high value. Aside from that, everything else is another excavation here. And zinc is always expensive, along with rough red crystals. And I think the other things, they're not particularly worth. They're just kind of things I use personally. So to give you an idea, potatoes for various crafting, and then some saps, and then aside from that, for multiple timbers and all that stuff. Okay, Altinova, we have abandoned iron mine, so there's a lot of zinc and platinum, very high value. Omar Lava Cave, more zinc and coal. You will always use coal. If you don't think you'll use it, I guarantee you just try making steel out of it and selling it, and you'll be like, oh my god, I just made a few billion silver. All right, so down here, Altinova. These are mostly kind of personal preference. I don't think they're particularly worth much, but Elder Tree Timber is something that I've been using, and this one is kind of just because I'm lazy and I want purified water, and I could just gather it and then turn it into purified, but I'm lazy, so I just have that. But yeah, as you guys can see, I have about 2 million elder tree timber. You think if I'm ever going to process that, it's going to take me at least a month probably, so I'm just turning them into crates and we'll do one big sell later on. Even if it's a, I don't know, like, I think that's one of those special things I'm going to have to full buff to even break even, but it's just a point of laziness to turn it in, and elder tree timber itself doesn't particularly sell well, and selling 2 million of them is probably just going to take time, to the point where I'd rather just have it automate timber crates and me just doing one big silver turn in at some point, maybe like next year, and then, you know, I recover at least like 80% of it, if not break even. All right, so down here in Sandgrain Bazaar, we have iron ore and cactus. This is definitely something most people will not need. It's, if you do alchemy, you will probably need it, but if you don't do alchemy, it's irrelevant. So you're probably like, oh, why do you have all these crystals and stuff? And the answer will be in a second. So after that, we have things connected to Arehaza. The only thing I have is Gavinia Volcano Zone, and I actually set something. I have another worker, but on promotion to artisan right now, so that's a little bit different. So it'll be working again, don't worry. Vanadium and titanium ore. If you don't know what to do with this, don't get these nodes. These are used to make Monos accessories, and you know, these are just, you know, they're not bad to sell. They're not really the fastest, but if you know how to craft and everything, if you're ever going for like pre-owned or Monos accessories eventually, and you want to save a few mil per big enhanced session, this is probably the way to do it. But once again, it's like a very specific purpose. So yeah, that's about it. Now you're probably wondering, why did I need all those crystals? So down in Morning Light and I guess the Royal Workshop, a lot of these are going on. And here for my Royal Workshop, all these crystals, they're used for various things in the Royal Workshop. So everything here is used to craft more materials and everything. So eventually I'll do another big turn-in. I do a turn-in about like once a month for all of these things, and it's like, oh, free money. That's nice. Cool. And then, yeah, so all these materials over here, they just kind of, they just add up. So good to know, right? So that's why I put all my crystals over here, and they turn it into trade stuff. So if you ever want to just like power level your trading at some point one day, I would recommend setting that up and then doing a nice trade-in once a month or something. And then like my Calpheon and Altinova trade crates, that's like a yearly thing. So aside from that, let's see. Let's talk about Altinova, or not Altinova, Morning Light. Down in here, we have an excavation node for Trace of Nature, always nice. And Dull Bowl, we have basically a lot of things that give to crystals. So to give you an idea, ooh, we got a life skill crystal. So to give you an idea, this is where mostly everything goes. If you ever needed these crystals for like decimation, bitterness, and darkness, I would recommend buying them off the market, because it's probably like, I did the math on it. It's like basically breaking even if you're not, at most you're probably saving about 100 million silver, which is better than not saving it. But yeah, it's one of those things where it used to be more valuable back in the day when this was new versus now, because prices of crystals equalize. But yeah, for all of you who are looking for harmonies, you know, these crystals right here, like these things, and you're like, oh, I can't buy these ultimate, let me see, ultimate crystals. Yeah, you know how you just can't get them because there's a lot of orders? Realistically, it's not too bad. Like, just put an order on it, it'll probably fill within a week. That's how I did it. Basically, you see all these harmony crystals that you can turn into like Hooms and Maclods. Just put the node on, and then eventually you'll get it. So like, I could just, if I felt like it, I could turn all these into something and then just sell it. Is it profitable? No, I would not make much profit off of it at all. So might as well just hold on to it in case I decide I need it, or get clapped in Edania and lose one of those crystals for some reason, I can just make another one. So even if you're an endgame player, I think it's worth investing into these nodes. Mostly just for like the various crystals you get over time, especially this one. If you're looking to make the new boats, the ones that are like Carrick equivalent, but from Morning Light, you would connect this one over down to the pier and start investing into the blueprints and everything. So I think that's what I did. I have enough blueprints to make it. I just don't have the time to make it. And then, yeah, aside from that, all of these nodes are like timbers and various crystals. So Morning Light 2, what do we have here? We have 3 different towns connected. So Gadu Village, I only have 2, which is these 2 connected. Down in Yukjo Street, I have a lot of nodes, actually. So let me show you. Down here, we have 16 of them. And a lot of these are working on Royal Workshops. But I think these are worth investing into because they are pretty solid. And yeah, just connect things based on like double zinc is always valuable that we talked about. More timbers. Yeah, more timbers and more zinc. It really just adds up over time. So these are high value nodes. And then Buckbow is all of these. So more timbers and then various ores and Trace of Nature. So yeah, a lot of high value nodes that I talked about, and that's about it. So I think I talked about everything. If you are looking to get a Carrick and start doing sailing yourself, especially with Blue Battlefield coming out, start investing into these nodes. This one, this one, this one, and this one. These all give blueprints for like your Carrick if you want to make it yourself. And those are the ones you need to. Otherwise, just buy the Carrick off the market. So it's not a big deal. And then start bartering. But aside from that, I think we talked about every town. Is there anything I missed? I don't think so. I think I covered all of it. So anyway, with that said, that has been my workers and nodes setup. Yeah, over time, it's just sending everything to Artisan and then doing promotions. I think over the past like 3 months, I've spent probably about like 50,000 energy total, just like regen over time. The best way to do that, popping energy thingies, and especially these miraculous herbal medicines, which gives plus 500 energy initially, plus 30 every tick. So that's actually a lot of energy, and then I just re-roll if I don't feel like gathering that day. And then these basically help me re-roll a lot of them. So with that said, that's about it. If you have any questions or anything, I'll happy to point you in the right direction. In terms of my data, I don't think I have a lot, but like over 50,000 energy, I guess like not just 3 months, but just like ever since I started playing. I would say this changed over time, where goblins at one point used to be the best. I think giants are very good now. Same with humans with rarity. So it really just depends. Like if I were you and you're just starting to like start upgrading everything to Artisan, get everything to Artisan first. And then start min-maxing whether you want like specific humans, goblins, or giants. And I think for the most part, I think humans and giants are probably the best ones in my opinion. Sure, these bring back stuff faster, but you also use more food over time, so it really just depends. If you have a goblin that has very good skills, it's probably better than certain like a giant or something. So it really just depends. There's a lot of RNG into it. So as long as they're the highest tier, I think ultimately that's what people will settle on, and you just think about that. So anyway, that's all from me. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Have a fantastic day. Peace.